You used to bounce back. A hard week, a late night, a demanding few days at work, and the weekend would reset you. You'd wake up Monday morning and be ready again. Not perfect maybe, but ready. That's not what happens now. Now the hard week bleeds into the next one. The soreness from Monday's workout is still there on Thursday. The late night costs 3 days, not 1. You push through something demanding and find that recovering from it takes longer than the thing itself. But the body that used to absorb the demands and come back ready, that body is taking noticeably longer to return. Most people assume it's just age, or stress, or simply life catching up with them. What if it's none of those things? What if there is one specific thing happening inside the body, silently, continuously, that is preventing it from doing the repair work it is fully capable of doing? And what if there is a morning ritual, ancient, simple, trusted for 3,000 years, that addresses that thing directly? Here's exactly what's going to happen if you follow this ritual for 7 mornings. You're going to take one small preparation before you start your day. The ingredient has been mixed with warm milk in Indian households since before the Bible was written. It was prescribed for people who were weak, depleted, and not recovering, specifically for them, given to warriors returning from battle, to the elderly losing their strength, to the sick whose bodies couldn't seem to find their way back. Before I show you what this is, you first need to understand why your body has been struggling to recover, because modern science now explains exactly why this ancient ritual worked all along. Most people assume poor recovery is simply sleep, age, or stress, and while those things matter, they don't explain the whole story. Here's what most people have never been told. Cortisol is your body's stress hormone. It's supposed to rise when something demands your attention, then fall again when the danger has passed. The problem is that for many people, it never fully comes back down. Modern life keeps pressing the alarm button, and when cortisol stays elevated, the body delays one of its most important jobs, repair. And here is the surprising part. 3,000 years ago, in one of the oldest medical traditions on Earth, physicians were prescribing a specific herb for exactly this problem. Not because they knew about cortisol, they didn't have that word, but because they were watching what happened to the body when it stopped recovering properly, and they had found something that changed it. This plant was named Ashwagandha, a Sanskrit word often translated as the strength of a horse. Ancient physicians weren't describing its smell, they were describing what they consistently observed. People who were weak, depleted, or struggling to recover gradually regained strength when this herb became part of their daily routine. They weren't making a metaphor, they were recording a pattern they saw again and again. Ashwagandha appears in some of humanity's oldest surviving texts, including the Rigveda and the Atharvaveda, written thousands of years ago alongside some of the earliest books of the Old Testament. And it was classified, in Ayurveda, the world's oldest living medical system, in a specific category called Rasayana. Rasayana means the path of essence. It was the category reserved for preparations that didn't treat illness. They maintained vitality. They were given to people who wanted to stay strong, sharp, and capable across a long and demanding life. The most powerful Rasayana of all, according to every classical Ayurvedic text, was this one plant. It is Ashwagandha. If this is already shifting something for you, subscribe right now, because Ashwagandha is one of the most studied, most underutilized, and most fascinating stories on this channel. And there is a great deal more coming. Here is something worth sitting with. The ancient physicians who classified Ashwagandha as the king of the Rasayana herbs were working in a tradition that predated most of what we consider the ancient world. The Charaka Samhita, one of the foundational texts of Ayurvedic medicine, describes Ashwagandha as balya, meaning strength-giving, as medya, meaning mind-enhancing, as a preparation that supports the body's fundamental tissues and promotes what ancient practitioners called Ojas. Ancient physicians called it Ojas, the body's reserve of vitality and resilience. When it was strong, people recovered faster, stayed mentally sharp, and handled life's demands more easily. When it became depleted, recovery slowed, and even ordinary stress began to feel overwhelming. Ashwagandha was given specifically to restore depleted Ojas, to warriors returning from battle, to the elderly losing their strength, to people in convalescence whose systems needed something to rebuild from. The question was always, why does it work? Here is the science, kept simple, connected directly to what you will feel. Now let's connect all of that to what you'll actually notice in your own body. Ashwagandha contains a group of compounds called withanolides. What they do, specifically, is regulate the body's stress response system. the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is the biological machinery responsible for cortisol production. In plain language, ashwagandha helps regulate cortisol, not by suppressing it, but by helping it return to its natural rhythm after stress has passed. When cortisol returns to baseline, something happens that most people have stopped expecting. The body switches out of breaking down mode and into building up mode. Muscle tissue that was being broken down by chronic cortisol begins to be repaired instead. Deep sleep, which cortisol at night actively prevents, becomes more accessible. Energy that was being spent on maintaining a state of chronic readiness becomes available for restoration. A randomized, placebo-controlled clinical trial, published in peer-reviewed research, found a 27.9% reduction in serum cortisol levels after 60 days of daily ashwagandha use, compared to a 7.9% reduction in the placebo group. That is a significant, measurable difference in the hormone most responsible for poor recovery. A separate 8-week study on muscle recovery found that participants taking ashwagandha had significantly lower levels of creatine kinase, a marker in the blood that indicates muscle tissue damage, compared to placebo. Their muscles were recovering more completely from the same physical demands. And a 2026 study on athletes found that ashwagandha supplementation prevented the cortisol spike that intense training normally produces, while simultaneously improving perceived recovery and reducing delayed onset muscle soreness. This is a 3,000-year-old clinical observation now confirmed in controlled trials with blood markers. The body cannot fully recover when cortisol is chronically elevated. Ashwagandha helps bring cortisol down. The body then does what it was always capable of doing. It recovers. And that's exactly what many people have been missing. The traditional preparation, still used today in millions of Indian households, is simple. Ashwagandha powder mixed into warm milk with raw honey, sometimes with a pinch of black pepper. Drunk in the morning before the day began, this preparation was given to athletes before competition, to the elderly as a daily tonic, and to anyone whose body had been under more demand than it could easily absorb. The physicians who developed it understood something modern sports science has confirmed. Recovery is not passive. It requires biological conditions that allow the body to shift from stress response to repair. The morning ritual, before the day's demands arrived, before cortisol began its morning rise, was the right time to establish those conditions. So we paid attention the same way ancient physicians paid attention, not with cortisol panels or muscle recovery metrics, just with the body. And with 7 mornings, 1 teaspoon of ashwagandha powder in warm milk, with a small amount of raw honey every morning before breakfast. And here is what people noticed. Day 1. The preparation is earthy, warm, different from anything else most people have tasted in the morning. Some find it pleasant immediately, others need a day or two. By midday on day 1, some people notice a quality of calm that is different from the usual morning. Less reactive, slightly more settled, not sedated, settled. Day 2, sleep on night 2 is different for many people, not dramatically, the edges are smoother. Getting into deep sleep feels less like something you have to work for. Some people wake on day 2 without the usual residual heaviness that had become normal. Day 3, that's when many people realize something. Have you ever noticed how the soreness from physical effort seems to linger longer than it used to? By day 3, many people begin to notice that the previous day's demands are not carrying over the same way. The body seems to be processing what it received and returning to readiness faster. Day 4, this is where something unexpected begins to happen. It isn't dramatic, it's subtle. The middle of the afternoon, the hour that usually costs the most, that requires the most management to get through, is slightly more available, not because energy has increased, but because the drain has decreased. Day 5. By day 5, many people notice they're reacting differently to everyday stress. Small frustrations don't feel quite as overwhelming. When cortisol begins returning to a healthier rhythm, the nervous system has more room to breathe. Day 6. Day 6 is often about what isn't there anymore. The lingering soreness, the heavy feeling after a demanding day, the long recovery you had quietly accepted as normal. Day 7. By day 7, many people describe the same feeling. Their body finally seems to recover the way it used to. Not perfectly, but noticeably better. The ritual no longer feels like an experiment. It feels worth continuing. Picture reaching the end of a demanding week on Friday and actually having something left. Not running on empty by Thursday, spending the weekend trying to recover so you can survive the next one. Picture doing something physical, A long walk, a game with the children, a day in the garden, and waking up the next morning feeling like someone who exercised, not someone who damaged themselves. Imagine finishing a difficult season at work and finding that you come back from it within days rather than weeks. The body absorbed the demand and returned. Picture sleeping for 7 hours and waking up feeling like you actually slept for 7 hours, not fighting through the fog to eventually arrive at alertness, actually being there when you wake up. Now imagine a nervous system that is not chronically braced, the patience that arrives naturally when the body is not constantly in stress readiness, the quality of presence that becomes possible when recovery is actually happening. That is what the ancient physicians were prescribing when they gave Ashwagandha as a Rasayana, a path of essence, to people whose Ojas had been depleted. Not a cure, a restoration of the body's own capacity to do what it was always designed to do. The traditional morning preparation: 1 teaspoon of ashwagandha root powder in a cup of warm milk, a small amount of raw honey, a pinch of black pepper, which research has confirmed increases the bioavailability of the active compounds significantly. Stir and drink before breakfast. This traditional preparation has been used in Indian households for thousands of years. If you prefer, warm water also works. The key is consistency. If you're buying ashwagandha, look for ashwagandha root extract specifically, not leaf extract. The root is what every classical text described and what every clinical trial has studied. A standard dose in research contexts is 300-600 mg of root extract daily. Consistency matters more than dose. The studies that show significant cortisol reduction run for 8 to 12 weeks. 7 days shows you the direction. Months establish the new pattern. This is a practice, the same way every Ayurvedic physician prescribed it. Not a quick intervention. Ashwagandha root powder in the amounts described has been used safely for thousands of years and is well tolerated by most people. Pregnant women should avoid ashwagandha. It has historically been associated with uterine stimulation in high doses and is not recommended during pregnancy. People with thyroid conditions should consult a healthcare provider first, as ashwagandha can influence thyroid hormone levels. People taking immunosuppressant medications, sedatives, or thyroid hormone medications should consult a healthcare provider before beginning regular use. Some people report mild digestive discomfort in the first few days. Taking it with food or milk, as the traditional preparation describes, usually resolves this. Start with a smaller amount, half a teaspoon, for the first 3 to 4 days, and build gradually. There's no benefit to rushing it. Here is what the ancient physicians understood that most of us have forgotten. Recovery is not something that just happens when you stop. It is an active biological process, one the body conducts during sleep, during stillness, during the moments between demands, and it requires specific conditions to proceed. When those conditions are not present, when cortisol stays elevated, when the body never receives the signal to shift from responding to repairing, recovery becomes incomplete. An incomplete recovery, repeated day after day across months and years, is what produces the feeling that the body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. The Ayurvedic physicians who wrote the Charaka Samhita 3,000 years ago were watching this happen in real people in real lives. They were watching warriors who couldn't rebuild their strength, elderly people losing ground faster than they should, people in the prime of life who felt depleted for no dramatic reason. So they developed a simple daily practice, a morning ritual designed to give the body what it needed before the demands of the day began. One small preparation every morning, and the body, given that signal consistently, began to remember what it was capable of. Try it for 7 mornings. 1 teaspoon of ashwagandha in warm milk with honey, before breakfast, before the day starts asking things of you. Then come back here and tell me what you noticed. What changed first? Better sleep, faster recovery, or simply waking up feeling more like yourself again? Leave a comment below. If you decide to try it, come back in 7 days and tell us which day you first noticed a difference. I'm curious, before today, had you ever heard of ashwagandha, or are you discovering it for the very first time? Let me know below, and if someone in your family has used it for years, I'd genuinely love to hear that story. See you in the next one.